Like I asked my wife the other day, what does she think about the Model Y and the Model 3? She said they're ugly. She said she would never drive one. She said they look feminine. And I asked about the Cybertruck. She said it looks silly. And she called it ugly and wondered why anyone would want to purchase it. When you don't have any competition, you end up getting weak a lot of times. You lose your competitive edge. You got the Cybertruck. I don't know about that Cybertruck. Hey, hello everyone. Welcome back to my channel. Hope everyone's having a great day. I just wanted to drop in. I've been looking through my comment section, engaging with a lot of you all, and I've been getting a lot of some negative things about Rivian. I hear a lot of analysts saying that Rivian's going to go bankrupt and all this other good stuff. I can't predict the future. However, what I can say, and I will say, is that Rivian has sliced a perfect cut into the market. They have created a perfect cut to the point, really, they don't have any direct competitors. Yeah, someone may say, hey, Tesla, they're a direct competitor. The only similarities between Tesla and Rivian is that they both make electric vehicles. Exclusively. Outside of that, they don't have the same product offering. Tesla does not have a truck, not yet, and they also do not have a traditional SUV. Yes, they have the Model X, but come on, that's a minivan. That's not a traditional SUV. It's a nice vehicle, but it's a minivan with falcon wing doors. That's what it is. So I say Rivian has sliced a perfect cut, because they have a really good market differentiation strategy. It's like, who are their real competitors? Ford? Not really. Ford makes traditional trucks. I can't think of any big manufacturers that make electric cars that have any direct competition with them. Yeah, so I don't see who their competitors are. And if you can think of a Rivian competitor, let me know, because I think they have a very good strategy, and because of that, and one of the indicators you can tell that they have a good strategy is they are still able to raise prices, and they have not done any price reductions. But there is a company that has done a couple price reductions, and that is Tesla. And I hear a lot of the analysts saying, "Oh, this is great. They're really putting their competition under pressure." Yeah, that is true. But I think the bigger thing is at play is that Tesla is under a lot of pressure. They are under a lot of competitive pressure, and that is one of the big reasons why they have to drop their prices. Because if they did not drop the prices, they'll lose their competitive advantage, which they already kind of gave up, and I'll discuss that in a second. But there are a lot of competitors in that space that Tesla operating in. Now on the higher end, with the things that can be compared to the Model X, of course, you have the Rivian R1S, you have BMW, you have Mercedes, you have Audi. So there are so many competitors in a higher echelon market where the Model X is placed, and that's over $100,000. I think it's like $110,000 for that Model X. And then you have the Model S. Of course, you have Lucid and a bunch of other players, BMW, Mercedes with the EQS. So there are a lot of competitors in that space where they have similar price offerings. And in addition to that, they're going to have brand loyalty. So you're going to have people who have already been loyal to that brand, who are going to go with the Mercedes. If they're new to EVs, they're going to go with Mercedes or BMW if that's what they're used to driving, because they already have that mystique around them, that brand name, where if they've been driving that brand already, they're already going to trust their manufacturer. And plus, they have the added benefit of their networks. If something happens to the vehicle, it's going to be a lot easier for them to repair and get parts and things like that. So they're operating a space with a lot of competition. And before this, they had the space all to themselves. And I think that's probably part of the problem is when you don't have any competition, you end up getting weak a lot of times. You lose your competitive edge. And it happens all the time. You can look in sports where you have these teams that just dominate, and they're so used to dominating, they get to a point where they get lackadaisical and they stop putting the work in. And they figure it's just going to come to them because they're so used to winning. And I think that is what Tesla is experiencing right now. And some of the things you can look at is that they have not updated their product offerings ever. They may have done a few tweaks with the interior of the Model S and the Model X, but if you look on the exterior, they basically look like the same vehicle. And even with the Model 3 and the Model Y, those are not palatable to a lot of the mainstream auto buyers. Yes, the electric vehicle loyalists, yes, they love those vehicles because they make very good vehicles, they're very safe vehicles, but they also are not traditional automobiles in a sense where, for example, I will use, I don't know, a Toyota, for example, with the two screens. You know, you have your screen with the speedometer on it, and then you have your infotainment screen. And if you look in the Model 3 and the Model Y, those are not in there. And that is going to be a non-starter for some people. In fact, it was a non-starter for me. That's one of the reasons why I really liked the exterior of the Model 3 when it first came out. Not so much now. When I saw that it was just that one screen, I was like, no. So I went and purchased a new Chevy Volt instead of getting a Model 3. And you have a lot of good offerings now that look like traditional automobiles on the inside. And that's just going to eat away at their market share. And like, for example, if you look at California, Tesla has lost about 13% of their market share year over year. Just in California, and you say, oh, that's just California, it's just one state. But California is the largest purchaser of EVs by far of any state in the union. The next state after it is Florida. And California purchases 6 times as many EVs as the state of Florida. So just kind of keep that in perspective. So not updating your product offering, I don't think that is going to bode too well for the future. And another thing that's going to hurt as far as just their EV sales, and I'm not saying overall value of the company, because they have a lot of opportunity for profits outside of EVs. But you got the Cybertruck. I don't know about that Cybertruck. It was cool when it first came out. I remember I saw that Cybertruck and my wife so I was like, oh, that's a pretty cool vehicle. But back in 2019, and this is before there was any EV trucks on the market. No one was producing the EV truck. No one was thinking about it. But Tesla was forward thinking. They brought this dystopian, tough looking Cybertruck out, and I was like, man, this is cool. And then, you know, they pull the Ford F-150 with the Cybertruck and drag it. And, you know, and that was pretty cool also. But then again, nothing. After that, nothing. It hasn't, no word about when this thing is going to come out. I know they said perhaps by the end of this year, but it's been almost 4 years now since they first showcased that vehicle. And I have to say that looking at it now, just looks out of place. And Tesla just took too long to come to market with that vehicle. Now, had they come out with that vehicle initially, they could have been setting the market. They would have been a market standard as to what an electric truck or electric off-road vehicle is supposed to look like. So my concern is that people looking at purchasing electric vehicles for the first time are not going to look at Tesla. You know, because it's too different. You know, it's not, they need to modernize those vehicles to where it's more palatable for the general public and not just for the Tesla loyalist. And Like I asked my wife the other day, what does she think about the Model Y and the Model 3? She said they're ugly. She said she would never drive one. She said they look feminine. And I asked about the Cybertruck. She said it looks silly. And she called it ugly and wondered why anyone would want to purchase it. And that's just her opinion, but that also happens to be in my opinion too. And I would have to say that that was not our opinion originally, that when we first saw it, we thought it was cool. It was something different. But now my fear is that that product demand is not going to be what they think it's going to be. I think when it first was announced, and they announced that low price of $39,000, that they got a lot of people to put deposits down. But there is no way that I can see that that vehicle will be anywhere close to $39,000. The Model 3 is not even that much, not even that cheap. So how are you going to get this big vehicle with this big battery and all these heavy components in at a lower price? And you got to remember, this was the price they put out back in 2019. A lot has happened since then. And one of those things is massive inflation, supply shortages. Things are a lot more expensive. And so I'll be willing to bet that that truck will come out around $69,000. The same price as a Rivian and a entry-level Ford. And so anyone who put reservations in thinking they were going to get this big truck for less than $40,000, you're going to be in for a rude awakening. I am happy to be wrong about this, but I believe that there's just no way that they are going to offer that truck for that price. And someone would be like, hey, Duke, they lowered the price of the Model 3 and the Model Y because they had to. Their sales are going down. They're losing market share. They're losing market share in America, and they're losing market share in China because China has so many electrical offerings they can put out at lower prices. It's a lot of competition. They didn't have competition before. I mean, they had complete control over the EV market for the most part. That's not the case anymore. And one of the big reasons they lowered the prices, obviously, was market demand and to try to get a hold of the competition before they can really get a foothold into the market. And also one of the reasons why they lowered the prices is a supercharger network. Of course, Tesla made a deal with the federal government, and they're going to be opening up a lot of the supercharger network to the CCS vehicles. And basically what that did is that they pretty much gave away their competitive advantage with that move. And so anyone who was buying a Tesla was also buying the supercharger network. So now that the supercharger network is going to be open basically to every vehicle, that is no longer in a competitive advantage. And people who purchased those vehicles, you were actually paying for that supercharger network that was built into the pricing. But now that it's going to be opened up to everyone, you got to reduce the price of the vehicles because now there's no longer any competitive advantage. So you got to get ahead of it before all these supercharger networks opened up. And like I said, it won't really hurt Tesla profits in my opinion because they have that supercharger network that they can exploit and use as a profit center. And so they have an app that they can charge for and say, hey, if you want to use the supercharger network, you got to pay $20 a month or something like that to get access to it, or pay a membership fee. And so that's a profit center right there. Now they just expanded the amount of people paying for this network. And in addition to that, one of the other things that they can possibly do is create a patent for an adapter and say, hey, a part of this membership is that you have to purchase this Tesla to CCS adapter in order to use the supercharger network. Even though they may be losing market share as far as their vehicles, they still have that supercharger network that they can exploit and make billions of dollars from user fees, membership fees, charging people for adapters. So if you want to get, the only way that you can use their network is if you purchase an adapter for them. Otherwise, you won't even be able to use your app. So that there's a lot of opportunities for them to make money. So as far as the company, they're going to be fine. But the cars, I don't know about. I just don't know. Unless they can really find a way to really reduce their prices on that Model 3 and Model Y, they're going to have to come over to design change. They're going to have to make that thing a more traditional looking vehicle, which is going to make it more expensive. But I don't see any other way they're going to really be able to approach this. Otherwise, they may be in a lot of trouble unless they do these things that I've been discussing. But that's all I have for today. I just wanted to drop in and discuss that, how great Rivian is as far as their strategy. You know, of course, this is a new company, and they're probably doing a lot of things that make people scratch their heads like, I don't know about that. But it is a new company. But I'm just saying, but they made a tremendous product. One that I'm going to claim that as far as the R1T is concerned, is the most versatile vehicle on the planet. But we'll see where the company goes from here, you know, as far as their product offerings and things like that. But I think they hit a home run with their product. And also they hit a home run with their market strategy. Now, things like communications and things like that, that's for a different video. But those two things, I'll give them an A for those two things. A+ for vehicle design. You all take care, and I will see you all on the next video. And this is my wife. She will be driving the Rivian R1T. It was nice in here.
That is so bright. Like that's gonna blind you for real.
And she's gonna crash it, so I already got her R1S on order.